Hello everybody and welcome to episode 29 of the Contest Realm podcast, which is entitled The Realm of Ridiculousness. I can't speak. I said to Dan prior to recording this, I even called Mephisto Mr. Fisto. I haven't woken up yet. Wake up, Rich. In any case, this is a week of some issues variant 5 in Kabam's Big L with Marvel Realm with a question mark. And yes, just to let you know, we'll be splitting the conversation, starting off with Marvel Contest of Champions and then moving on to Marvel Realm. Now, before we get started, I have to introduce my co-host, the hostess with the mostest. I don't know. He's a great guy. He's a lovely beard. You can find him at www.frontline.mcoc.home.blog. Links are always in the bio, and also on YouTube with our Friday night Incursion streams. Dan, thanks for joining Scuffed Rich, it seems.
Hey, Rich, don't worry. It's only an hour-long audio-only format that we're doing here, so shouldn't be any issues, right?
The thing is, I've now made a pledge to not drink alcohol. Not that I was drinking excessively, but I've cut it completely from drinking. So you kind of think I've just gone out for a big meal, a big lunchtime roast, a carvery. I don't know. Do you have roast dinners in the US? Don't you? I'm more fascinated with carvery. Yeah, we called it a carvery when you go out. UK people like carvery, and I can imagine people listening from India hey, what a bloody carvery! Never heard of this. So yeah, a carvery. You go, and then the person the other side, who is the waiter or something like that, or kind of the carver, will carve up the meats. I assume that's where the name carvery comes from. They carve up the meats. Okay. You choose. Unfortunately, because of COVID, normally you go to these places and you've got turkey, beef, gammon, chicken, all different types of meats on offer to have a little bit of everything. And then they give you things like Yorkshire puddings, vegetables, and then a load of gravy on top. It's a starchy Sunday meal that is referred to as a Sunday roast to many people.
Sounds like you need a nap after that.
Yeah, I think that's what I should have had. Instead, I came back and didn't have any caffeine. I just had a peppermint tea and just relaxed a little bit.
No, you need some caffeine after that. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
You got to counteract all that gravy in the bloodstream.
That's maybe what it is.
That will slow you down for sure.
Yo, man, you gotta get me that gravy, man. Oh God, yeah. So interesting week. We kick off.
Going on.
Yeah, we kick off with a discussion about our Incursions champion, which we'll have a full video out next week. But yeah, Nightcrawler, lots on offer, Dan.
The amazing Nightcrawler, yeah. Interesting champ that we tested out with a couple different synergies, and well, he doesn't have a ton of utility. What's cool about Nightcrawler is he does actually gain a fair amount of buffs. So he can interact well with Buff Cornucopia, and he can do some damage.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Yeah, I like this. I think this is the one fundamental problem I had was the doing a debuff, damage over time. Some champions will have a little bit of everything. Hyperion's got a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
he throws off specials more easily, so prowess with that can be helpful. He gains power gain if you do the parry heavy attack method. You gain furies. Incinerates, he's got a full package, whereas
stun, armor break.
Yeah,
Hyperion's not fair. Right?
Yeah, exactly. The way that Nightcrawler works with his debuffs, he does have a bleed per se. You will see that being red, but it's an internal bleed in that you don't see it. Well, you see it from red numbers, but you won't see it as a point of
yeah, it's not ticking. It's instant.
Yeah. Which is a weird concept, but
yeah, it's a little unique.
Yeah, as you said, it works for the champion from a point of the evading side of things was pretty cool. I'm just trying to think if there was anything that stand out apart from the Furies, which I was going to get to anyway, which is great.
Yeah, I had a couple nice saves with his evade playing against War Machine, which was nice. But I think where I was really hampered was I didn't have Havoc on the team, and you did. So that meant I had to switch into swashbuckling mode every single fight, and I was just taking chip damage while I was doing that in a lot of cases where you weren't, and where Nightcrawler is totally reliant on A, getting buff cornucopia, and B, then proccing a regen buff to recover any health. That's not ideal for a main damage dealer in Incursions.
Yeah, absolutely. I was impressed. I mean, for me, I was using a rank 3 version, and with that Havoc synergy, I totally agree. That was the main thing about not switching. Because yeah, like if you are in the block, as you get down to those later rooms, being in a block and taking a lot of damage through the block is not nice. I got to be honest. We had some good pair ups with not pair ups. Bosses and node combinations. I do see a few times people dropping. I've seen a couple of people drop into my Discord some images of some quite unfair kind of pair ups. I'm just trying to find something now. I want to say like, oh yeah, so Rage and Lazarus. So Rage being damage taken in a single hit is capped at 2.5% of max health. And then, you know, Defender begins the fight with 5 revival charges, which heal them for 20%. Yeah, it's just like, it's, you know, you do get some really stinky ones. We've been quite fortunate for the last 2 times we've done the Incursion streams. We haven't seen anything too horrible, but we have definitely had our fair share of horrible interactions.
Oh, yeah. When it goes wrong, it usually happens quickly. I find Incursions, they kind of lull you into a false sense of security. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you look at the boss and you're like, oh, I guess this is over now.
It's so true. So true. Right. I think that's covered a lot of Incursions. I will be doing a follow-up video. And then I'm not sure what we're going to do for our next one. A lot of people are suggesting ones, which is great. We've got a long list. I know
there's so many choices.
Hawkeye, Cable. I'm quite interested in Ultron. Is that would it be referred to? Yes, OG Ultron is the one.
Yeah, I think Labtron is the common nickname for him.
Yeah, I think we've both agreed if we get some tech, because the thing is, it's a bit of a decision to rank up a lot of 5 stars to rank 4. If we get some of those Tech Awakening gems from like Variant 5, I think we'll probably discuss the idea of going, look, we've got some spare. There's nothing really. We either have got a value. Let's rank it up. Let's give it a go and take it.
Yeah, I think I can do. I think I can do that. I think I'm actually maxed on tech gems now.
Cool.
So I think I'm not super worried because I just need to take Warlock up. But it won't hurt me to rank for a Labtron. That's a fun little trophy anyway, right?
Yeah.
And he's actually viable for Acid Wash.
Yes, so, that is a very good point.
One of like 4 champions in the game. So. Oh,
I think I'm seeing it now. Warlock, Ultron OG, and then maybe one other for an Incursions.
Fun. I'm down for that. I'm having a lot of fun with this. Yeah.
Rank 2, and then we'll see what happens. Right, let's move on to the first topic of discussion. Map 7 issues. Acid Wash returning.
Yeah, so it just seems like they can't quite get the right version of Map 7 to load with all the changes that have been promised, because some stuff has been taken out certain weeks, and then some champions or defenders rear their ugly heads when we thought we were done with them. So what had happened was they were supposed to replace Hulkbuster post buff with OG Iron Man, because he's on Acid Wash, and none of the champions that can deal poison are shock immune. So that doesn't feel like a good matchup. To further complicate things, it is minus 40% Mystic Week, and the 2 go-to options are Man-Thing and Dr. Voodoo. So it's not great. It can ruin your day. The problem with Map 7 is the lanes aren't always balanced, right? So this is only going to affect 1 or 2 people who per battle group, so maybe 3, 4, 5 people per alliance, but it really unbalances the experience where you've got this Hulkbuster that you might have to time out on a bunch of times or spend some items on, and he's not even supposed to be there. So, that's kind of crappy. I think the guys in my alliance were doing all right with him, but we were only running the heroic mods. I would not want to have to run, say, a negative 40% attack Dr. Voodoo with Parry Curse or Turn the Tide against that Hulkbuster. That would not be fun.
Yeah, this is one of these discussions we had, I think, in the Incursions stream on Fridays. By the way, on Friday, if you don't know, Incursions Friday is what we do on Dan's YouTube channel and on my Twitch. We always announce it, so go and check it out. But the idea that the complexity of the game, where we were from 2014 when the game was first introduced in December to where we are now in 2020, the complexity that we see from the game, which I know, even though if you go with the flow, yes, you can pick up the idea of how the game works from a front end perspective, but from a back end perspective, with all these things that are in place, from ability interactions, from synergies, debuffs, and new things like tactics that Kabam create in Alliance Wars, and as well these attack bonuses and amplifiers that created. It does mean for a very confusing interaction that when Kabam go, look, we must remove this, that when you see situations where they go, we go, right, okay, great, we put faith in the developer that they will remove something that has been notified as being a pain point, and it's not removed, you just go, oh dear, that is not good. And the element of compensation that then has to be done is going to be crucial. Dan, with your alliance, have you had any compensation first and foremost, or are you expecting that to be after the sequence has finished?
I would think that since we're still mid-series, that we're not going to see anything until later. But we haven't seen anything yet, and it'll be interesting to see how do you do it. Is it just people that have fought against the Acid Wash Hulkbuster? Is it going to be everyone in the battle group or in the alliance? So they're going to have to make a decision about how they do that, or are they really going to go in and say, all right, if you used an item on this fight, you're getting it back, but that's it. So
yeah, that would be the next...
I don't know. Yeah. I think I wouldn't expect anything too big from this one.
Yeah, that would be the point of going, how do they, I want to say, like, assume the cost that's gone into it per player. But that's a difficult one, because there could be people that have spent more to get through that particular issue than others. So easily, yeah. What is fair for compensation will be the next thing. And yes, to anybody that is wondering how do they get that, because I did have many people kind of asking that question about how to get the Hulkbuster compensation. I thought it was pretty clear to say that it was map 7 only players. But you know, I do.
It's a map 7 issue. I mean, that's it's pretty specific.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting to get it. I don't know if anybody else thinks that they are from a lower like map running alliance, but you know, that's how it is. Well, that's moved us now onto our next topic, Moon Knight's secret buff, which I mean,
good news. I mean, why not, right?
Yeah,
sure.
I mean,
I mean, he needs a lot more than being able to stack some bleeds, but I'll take it.
Yeah, I did think it was kind of odd. It was something that wasn't announced in any kind of change logs, I want to say, but
it wasn't. No,
it was a big surprise that that Kabam would consider that to be a thing. And yes, that ongoing in the future, it would be nice to see like more of a rework. I don't know if this means that anybody's going to go, right, I'm going to rank up. Though I did see somebody claim they have rank 2'd a Moon Knight, whether or not it was awakened or not.
That is a bold choice.
That is a very bold choice. I think somebody is either going to be incredibly happy about what they've done, or quite, I wouldn't say ashamed, because it could be a case that you're that was like one of those people that went, I've got a load of 6 stars, I don't know what to do with any of my rank, I've got loads of rank up materials, I've just decided to just throw it at them. That could be the case of what I Hope.
I have a 6-star Moon Knight. I may have to give him a run. You know, in a couple months when I have ISO and gold to actually level him up.
Do you think that they're starting to look into that? Maybe they were, because isn't the next variant meant to be something associated with Moon Knight? I could be wrong.
No, the next one's like a Defenders one. I think the next one was like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, right, I'm going to call it now. They're going to do something for Iron Fist.
They could do something with Iron Fist. Netflix Daredevil was also involved in that story.
Ooh,
so it could be something from... There's a few champions that could use some help that are associated with that narrative.
Yeah, exactly. I'll have to see how much that runs deep. But yeah, like I said, I don't think many people are going to be ranking up their Moon Knight. I think it was the case. It looked nice. The bleed damage, I would say, bleed vulnerability type interactions would be adequate now for a usage. But other than that,
I mean, there's just, if you look at the skill class, his competition is pretty brutal. I mean, Stealth Spider-Man, Hit Monkey, Elsa, Blade, Nick Fury, Aegon, Killmonger. Like that, there's a lot of damage and a lot of utility there.
Yeah, I think people would spend their resource more wisely, I want to say, on something like that. Okay, moving on to our next topic. We're blasting through this, but I like it because we've still got a lot to talk about today.
Well, we have the big topic at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
And I did I won't sidetrack us, but we've got a lot to talk about at the end.
Okay. Magento Leaked Buff. Now, I'm not going to go into the politics on the matter. I've had my say. I know people have disagreed with me on that factor, so we're not going to go into the ins and outs. And I think it's another... We just treat it as like, it's done. There's nothing you can do about it, and we move on.
Yep.
But the Magneto buff, it's been shown out to everybody of how it is. The God tier is now the God tier, or the not on paper, it wasn't even on paper. The in principle God tier is now the actual God tier once the buff goes live, which will be in the next update. Look for that to be about the 31st of August. Yes. And I could not be more excited. Dan, I know you're very, very busy. Were you able to have a play around with the champion so far, or you still got it on your list?
Honestly, yes. Testing is still on my list. I have been super behind in any sort of CCP testing for this round of the beta, but I'm excited. And going in, what did we say? We wanted Magneto to be like the equivalent of Blade's Danger Sense, but towards #Metal Champs, and it looks like that's what we got. Yeah. So it feels like it's loyal to the what the champion is supposed to be. Yeah,
that's true. I don't know what there's meant to be further changes that are coming to the #metal line. Now, I wasn't able to check out the full forum post to kind of find out the extent of context, because it was either going to be more #metal are being added, or the specific nature to #metal is changing. Either way, we'll find out more clarification, I want to say, in the next week or so. But there's been just so much content to cover. I try and take Tuesdays off to work on some other business things and some other things that I'm meant to do. But I'm just finding myself now just working on videos all the live long day with new content, with Variant 5, with interactions, with new champions, synergies of said champions, interactions of said champions, and then reporting on new content. It's quite excessive. I think kabam of it must be. I know a lot of other games are doing the same. It must be like a game thing to kind of try and, they think over the summer like people aren't going to play like games quite so much, so they're kind of ramping up the pressure for releasing content. But the buff looks good. The wider interaction with #metal will make it a go-to champion, especially to find counters to stuff that, were frustrating. Going up against the likes of Iron Man Infinity War is always very kind of like boring and annoying, and the same thing with Darkhawk. To have something in place that is a class disadvantage is I like it because it's new. It's not something saying, okay, you've got to have this cosmic or you've got to have this champion.
It flips the script. So I'm really interested to see if he enters the Alliance War attacker meta. Because if you look at hashtag metal, right? You've got Darkhawk, you've got Doctor Doom, you've got Guillotine 2099, you've got Iron Man Infinity War, you've got Mojo, Mysterio, you've got Sentinel and Warlock and the Weapon X version of Wolverine. Those are some of the most common defenders.
Wow, that's such a good point.
Yeah, that is a list of like, that's the boss island right there.
Yeah.
So he could have major value as an Alliance War attacker, which is always something we're looking for, right? Like, how do we solve these nasty problems? How do we counteract stubborn and flow? So if he becomes a legit attacker, that's going to help a lot of people out.
Well, that's an idea. You should write that post, and I should do a video on that one.
Yeah,
that's such a good topic to say. Like all the frustrating pain points from a defender allocation is now completely smashed to smithereens. So is it going to be a case that your go-to team is now going to be your first part lane clearer, second part lane clearer, and Magneto, or is it going to be a case you're going to have like Magneto for everything? Just bring Magneto, you'll be fine.
Right, because you remember for a while, right? Like when Blade first got introduced, it was like, all right, just don't place anyone that triggers danger sense because it's pointless. And then like a year later, it was like, all right, if it's a Corvus charge, get it off the lane.
Yeah.
Right. We're just helping him out too much. So it will be interesting to see if the early adopters of Magneto, because there's already people ranking him.
Yeah.
And I think there's a few rank 3 6-stars out there, just waiting for this buff. So it'd be interesting to see if those folks have a big advantage early on before people adjust.
Yeah, my Magneto 5-stars rank 5. I'm considering my 6-star version, but I'm gonna see what happens down the line with pulls. If I manage to get myself a if I manage to get myself a mutant GM of some description, I probably will invest like fully into him. But then this is the thing: if Kabam create a strong god tier, then chances are within a month to 2 months they'll create something that suppresses him in some way. It always
hashtag plastic.
Hashtag plastic. There you go. That'll be the question, isn't it? What kind of ability accuracy reductions could be put in place to suppress him if he was boss of some description? So that'll be the next thing, is saying like, what's the interactions? I guess that's going to be the thing with Professor X, as he's if they go with the tie of going right, well, because Magneto has his helmet on, theoretically Professor X can't do anything.
Yep.
So
which is the case with Emma, so there's already a basis for that in game.
Absolutely. So we need to then consider what will be the next options for suppression, and will it be a case we'll have a non-metal tech that's able to deal with stuff? Will it be a case of looking at more towards, okay, well, I wonder who has that discussion. Like, just imagine like somebody from Kabam goes in and creates Magneto the way he is now, and then next time it's like, look, someone just walks in and goes, look, what were you thinking? We now got to create something that's got to have a new hashtag, a new interaction in order to suppress that son of a bitch. I can't ever have him in Abyss of Legends or take it on Ultron in Act 5 with 2 to 3 hits. Like, if you got Suicide Masteries, you're going to be able to smash through. Now
I really want to pull a Magneto on my free-to-play account, and just test him out once I get to like Act 4. That would be a lot of fun.
I forgot as well. I'm going to put a tag on to the end. Brief discussion about Dragon Man. Have you played Dragon Man yet?
I have not played Dragon Man at all.
Yeah,
he looks like my kind of champ, though.
Yeah,
so I'm excited by him, but he looks so goofy. It's great.
Okay, right.
Like just fighting against him, like he's so big and goofy. I just love everything about him.
Yeah.
Is he half man, half dragon man? Is he half dragon, half robot man? What is this dude?
We're gonna start. We'll have to talk about him. I got a bit of time with him. I liked it because the podcast now goes out once the content is released, so we don't really have to.
Oh, that's true. Yes,
the embargo worry about the embargo.
Yep.
From my thoughts on him, I liked him. I've seen plenty of people say otherwise or contrary to that point. But when you're getting if you get the cycle really well, you can throw one SP2, a second SP2, and then if you go and do a heavy attack, you take one SP2 will give you 3 incinerate debuffs. If you're then quick and do another SP2 with the power gain that you get from the champion, you can then throw the second one. You then get 6 incinerate charges based on what you've got up on the enemy. If you do a heavy attack, they will kind of accumulate together and do one big burst of damage. And the 565 at 200 signature was producing 36,000 damage from that one kind of grab of 6 incinerate debuffs on the enemy, which is quite nice to see. The interaction with champions, that if you can do a knockdown, then you're able to kind of go back in quite aggressively, and that's what I was trying to do. If you get the rotations well, you've got the enemy back cornered, he or she will start taking damage, and there's some nice little rotations if you can be aggressive. I think the disadvantage would be if you went up against this champion as a defender, especially for those that like to play the likes of Quake. If you are right at the back of the screen on the left hand side, you might take cornered damage. I don't know if that would be the case. It would interact correctly. Either way, I thought it was a good champion. I enjoyed it. I don't know if I want it, but I thought it was quite cool, especially going against champions that have buffs. So
cool. Yeah, he's a little bit unique for the Mystics, right? Because he's got bleed and poison immunity. He's got a slow debuff. I'm just scrolling through his kit. He's got a nice combination of damage and utility on paper. It's just, did you find him very intuitive to play, or did you really have to focus on playing a Dragon Man style?
No, because he speaks to my playing style. Because I'm quite aggressive, I will try to throw an enemy into the to the wall, as I like that mentality. I think that if I played MSD style and was able to, because you've just got to keep them back to the wall to get more of the corner damage. So yeah, it's just a case of the rotations to point the rotations are the point as long as you keep the enemy close to the wall. You get the corner damage, you get the first burst of Incinerate, you get a second burst of Incinerate, and then you'll throw the heavy attack to then absorb it. All the while utilizing, as soon as you knock down from the SP2, the first SP2, it's then to charge at the enemy. The biggest problem I think I find is that when you try and do that, the enemy will more than likely, if it has a special attack, will throw it. And especially with certain AIs and more difficult content, like your Act 6s, your variants, your Realm of Legends, even Abyss of Legends, if you go down that mentality, more than likely you will be clapped in the face by a special attack. If you've got the knockdown, you go unblockable and you go aggressive, you will get clapped. So it's a case to be, yes, he's good. Yes, the rotations and play style and the dynamic of playing him is good. It's just there maybe goes back to that risk and reward scenario. So he's a bit like Sasquatch, where you just kind of want to go ham. Yes, that's cool. I can dig that. So, man, that next featured 5-star crystal is going to be pretty nice. So that's Hitmonkey, Guardian, Sasquatch. Airwalker's kind of but Dragon Man, and then whoever's out first in September. So that's not a bad pool. Yeah, right there. God, I think it's weird, isn't it? There's so much stuff going on that you think, okay, we've just had dual class crystals being put in, and I'm still on the hunt now. I think I'm like 11. Am I 11? I'm 11 deep and I got a long shot, so I think that was something of a positive. But yeah, those kind of 5-star featured when they come back in again, they're going to be quite nice.
Yeah.
Right, next topic to go on is the Guardian and Domino Synergy situation. The well-timed block proficiency not issue, but well, it is a kind of issue because Kabam.
It is an issue, yeah. Well, it's already OP champion becomes ridiculous, right? That was, I think, when we saw the video, we were all just like, well, they're not going to leave that in.
Yeah. It's a bit of a weird one for me because I have to kind of consider whether or not it's a one-size-fits-all counter to stuff. Like, would it be of value to use against something where you're taking damage? Would you want to stay? Well, I'm not say static. It's just an odd. It's like if you had the Incinerate synergy. I don't know. Would you better put like a Red Hulk on a team? Yeah, I don't know if it's the synergy is a one size fits all for every piece of content that is in the game.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big Domino player, so it doesn't, you know, it's not something that I would be using. What's interesting to me is that originally they were talking about the fix being to the synergy, right? And they were going to change it from block proficiency to armor, right? And the pushback on that was like, well, this is really a Domino problem, so why don't you just change Domino so that her abilities don't interact with the synergy the same way. So yeah. I'm not sure, did they ever finalize what they were going to do, or are they still just taking feedback?
From what I gather, they were going to make changes to Domino. I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head what that was, but it would be with the interaction from, I think, was it outside? They were referring to stuff when it comes to like Domino's outside interference from synergies. So
right,
basically
exactly.
That does. I think a lot of people were saying that one of the pushbacks was that they wanted to keep. I think Hitmonkey, is that correct? Hitmonkey positively benefits from that Guardian synergy.
Oh, I haven't seen
that.
It might be.
I want to say that in my mind I can see Squirrel Girl, but I can't remember if Hitmonkey was on that. I can't remember. It doesn't matter in any case.
Well, those are low block proficiency champions, so I could see you wanting them to have more block proficiency. Yes, and block proficiency is generally more valuable than just armor. Yeah,
that's a good point. So yeah, I think the final solution was somewhat positive. I want to say that it was like 70% to 30%. There were still some kickbacks from the situation, but I don't know. Another week, another thing to for Kabam to go and find something, and we'll see what's on the chopping block for next week. Right, just a quick thing. Boss rushes. How are you finding them so far, Dan?
Feels like they're getting easier each week.
Yeah. What was your go-to champion for this week's week 3?
Oh, who was my go-to for this week? I gotta load it up real quick just to take a look at. I'm trying to remember. I just blitzed through it, to be honest with you. See, I'm drawing a blank on who I use.
I'll go with mine, and I'll wait for you to find yours. Yeah. So mine was Corvus Glaive. As soon as I had this feeling, first and foremost, that we would get. Well, from the look of it, because they've all been pre-done, so you can do a little bit of preparation, not completely,
a little bit of scouting, yeah.
But you can get a flavor. So the flavor that I was looking for was the fact that we had an invader, we had a mutant, and we had a tech. Also, the great thing about that was that we had a champion that was a robot that Armor Break would, well, not actually, Armor Break didn't actually benefit from going up against that, but Corvus Glaive seemed to be the best fit. You can load up 3 missions very easily from doing a lot of them, and as well going to, I can't remember what it was, there was an interaction with Warlock, I think it was just class advantage or something, or I'd already reached 3 missions, and let's just say critical damage was popping off nicely. But it was the helpful nature of getting through the what was it called? Vision Arcus because of Corvus's interactions against things like I always get these two mixed up. I want to say it's Cold Snap. If it's Cold Snap, it's Cold Snap. It's Frostbite, it's Frostbite. I always get them two mixed up. I want to say it's Cold Snap.
It's Cold Snap, yeah. With
Thank
the Arcus,
God.
it's Cold Snap. Yep.
So that interaction helped out immensely, and we're able to kind of like stay alive and do as much damage as possible, as quickly as possible. Even better if you're able to get to an SP2 really quickly, and power control against the power gain buff the enemy has. And then for the final boss, I think I used Corvus for that. I had one run with Corvus, but there's so many other champions. But yeah, you're right. These boss rushes are becoming a little bit more doable. I'm still worried about the Omega one at the end.
Yeah, yeah. Now that I'm back in, I remember I used Venom to start off with.
Nice.
And I played Void and Killmonger.
Oh, very good.
Yep, and Symbiote Supreme is always my go-to Arcus counter.
Nice.
But there's a couple of nice fights in there for Void, including the Clairvoyant boss, especially once you have the Void and Killmonger together. Those two are quite a team.
Yeah, I should be doing that a little bit more.
That is a nice pair that I really appreciate and I've been using quite a bit lately.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Omega Quest, that is going to be... Now, that's going to be something else, right? If you string all 30 of these fights in a row, and then we don't know what the final boss will be, what that 31st fight is going to be. That's a lot in a row to get through as far as utility, and yeah, for those of us that don't want to spend a bunch of items, you're really going to have to think about your team construction. So yeah. I think but that's actually exciting for me. I like having that marathon quest every once in a while to just really test yourself against.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, we're gonna have to cover a lot of bases, right? As far as regen and maybe having armor up buffs and countering evade and having immunities. So team construction is going to be key.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll do it in a case of that there's like the challenges where you do like a row of 5 fights and then you're able to port to the next one, or would you be able to kind of go like 1 and then port to the boss, and then you can just go back and then do it at the point of then further you can port to then path 2 and then do the continuation of the other, I say 5 paths, and then go to the boss. That'll be interesting. Or is it just going to be like a constant 31 fight battle royale type thing? Not actual battle royale.
Yeah,
battle.
I mean that would be interesting. It would certainly be easier that way, right? I just don't feel like that's what they're going to do.
No.
I feel like they want a marathon, and also in the way that they've presented the rewards, right? Like there's no completion versus exploration breakdown in the rewards. So that makes me feel like it's just one run. One epic run. And I mean, they've even said it, the Omega Quest will differ in length depending on the difficulty. Epic has a lot of fights in there.
Nice.
So I don't think you're going to be able to carve it up and pick off a few lanes at a time. I think you're going to have to go through the whole thing.
Delightful.
That's the way I read into it. We will see in a couple weeks.
True. Right, moving on to the subject of Variant 5. So Variant 5 dropped this week, and
yay, Variant 5. Finally.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yes.
I'm doing it at slow pace. I know Dan's doing similar. It's one of these situations where you can spend a lot of time. You can spend a very quick amount of time and go like, oh, blitz through it, but there's kind of time where you find some hidden gems. Like prior to the podcast being recorded, I was talking to Dan about some interactions I've had with using Mephisto again, especially with Arcane Torrent, and how much I'm having fun doing that, as opposed to saying like, oh, just use Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom's another content. Oh no, just use Symbiote Supreme. Symbiote Supreme's not ranked up, and I'm not really interested. Just use this champion, and it's nice to dust off an old champion and find some hidden gems. And I was talking about, in particular, chapter 2.2 2, I want to say, where there's what is it? Adaptive or something, where he goes from like anyway. The point to get to is that when I'm using Mephisto, I love rotating through the SP2s, and I was doing one SP2, and then I was finding that I was that aura of incineration. I was then getting another one and another one, and it was just a case of like all I needed to do was hit the SP2, then do a parry, throw another SP2, and then repeat that to a point that I've cheesed my way through it. Not so cheesable on the end boss because of the extent of damage through the block one would take. And that needed to stop, which I wouldn't.
Yeah, there's a lot of block damage in this one.
Yeah, exactly.
That may be the one downside, is you really have to manage your block damage.
Yeah, so I think I started doing it a bit kind of like cautiously to begin with, lots of parries and stuff. Then I went to a method of just doing intercepts for it. I've recorded a bit of footage, and for me, I'm creating a guide. I know the same thing for Dan. Dan's doing something for the site. Maybe a video version will be up at a later date, and I'm working towards the exploration guide now. So it's been nice to just like do it at a more chilled pace and just kind of like enjoy it. But any kickbacks from it? Dan, have you heard any? What's your thoughts on Variant 5? And have you heard any like kickbacks from people about it?
Not really. I think most people think it's fair for the rewards based on what I'm seeing. They like that it starts off with the low energy, right? It's only 1 energy per tile to start you off. And so far what I'm seeing is they talked about this in the roadmap, right? About being clearer about what's the easy path and what are the more difficult paths. Like you're seeing that, like in chapter 1, you've got that breakthrough path, and you look at that, and then you go over to the right and you see it's debuff, immune, and bane, and you're like, okay, I can clearly see what the easy path is and what the hard path is.
Yeah.
So that's nice. But so far I haven't run into anything that feels cheap.
Yeah.
There's definitely that debuff, immune, bane path is a challenge, and you're going to take some damage. But it did make me think about my team construction and who I could bring and how I could use the global node to my advantage as far as going unblockable. I tell you what, I really wish I had a ranked up Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah.
Because I think her ability to heal on block would be so great for Variant 5. I could see her getting a lot of use. Speaking of remembering your old favorites, right? Like Magic.
Yeah.
Or the Bane Juggernaut. Now, normally you wouldn't want to play the power control game in a Bane fight because you'd want the ins from throwing the specials. But obviously with Juggernaut, if he throws a special and then goes unblockable, he's going to run out that Bane timer on you. So she was clutch, plus that Limbo regen, also very helpful. I think in chapter 1, that Mojo fight I had to reset a few times on that. He's not a guy you want to let get ramped up.
Yeah, I lost my patience. You were there on stream. I lost my patience with it.
No, he can get you frustrated. That's one that can go the other way quick. If he's triggering that anti-life field on you, it's that's not a good time.
Yeah.
So I would just say to people, like, check out the easy paths in the first 2 chapters, and you should be able to run those easy paths without using any items. And if you do find yourself using items, it's probably a case where you're not quite ready for Variant 5. And I know that can be tough to hear, especially when you see every YouTuber putting out Variant 5 100% exploration videos in like 24 hours, but your roster might not be ready for it. So come back when it's not going to cost you items. There's other stuff to do in game. Yeah,
totally agree. Just take it as chilled. It's not going anywhere. I always think that it's permanent.
There's a bunch of stuff in on a timer in game right now.
I think it's always
do that.
Yeah, it's always, I would say, impressive if you manage to do it in the first 2 to 3 months. You know, don't kind of like take what other people are doing to say complete within not complete, but 100% it in the space of like 48 to 72 hours. It's just like that's fine, but what are those people going to do now? You know, it's,
right.
You know, you've got something that if you're bored on a train, you're you know, you're watching a bad movie and you're like, well, your respective partner is kind of playing on their phone, then yeah, it's fine. And then bash out a load of lanes. If you're a small up and coming YouTuber, then stream some of the paths that you think you will do quite well in, and then draw on your confidence. You know, just do you, and take it.
Yeah, take it at your own pace.
Yeah,
there's no reason to sink a bunch of items into this.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's move us on to the Summoner Showdown very quickly. There's this
kicking off on Monday.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised. I was thinking to myself, crap, I've got. I know. At first, I was like, yeah, I've got time to prepare, and then I was like, crap, no, I don't have time to prepare. So I need to kind of like, I've got some idea of champions, but want to see what it's like. Or get in, check it out, and then take it from there.
Yeah, we know Silver Surfer is the first boss, and you're restricted to 4-star champions. So you've got any picks for possible MVPs of Week 1? Obviously, nodes are going to play a huge part in this, but who are you thinking, Rich?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I want to see the extent of what he does. Energy, okay, so I want to get an idea of charge up. I got this theory about like if what a bishop would be like from.
I was just thinking that like there's a scenario where bishop could be end the fight with one special 2, right?
Yeah.
If it's set up correctly.
Yeah.
for that, like there's scenarios where let's say Silver Surfer starts the fight with a bunch of buffs. Well, then it's a Morningstar race to a special 2 or a long shot race to a special 2. And those could be the answers. Other ones, Hyperion is always a favorite at New York Comic Con because you're just getting the one champ, right? No synergies.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal. Hyperion is like the king of quick takedowns, doesn't need the synergies, right? And who else? Red Hulk can sometimes surprise you.
Yeah.
Because if you can get him up to those 10 heat charges real quick, he can do some damage. That's usually more of a case in Mystic matchups, but you never know.
Yeah, I'm really curious about the nodes because you can pretty much guess a lot of the interactions going. Okay, well, right. Do I Quake this? Even like I'm just having a quick read of the announcement by Kabam Tyler, saying that the favorite character to play is Quake, and the idea of going, okay, well, is Quake going to be the answer to all of this? Possibly, but you know, Kabam will probably have something there to make sure that you use. It's going to be not good for some of the main champions, some of the in bunny ears god tier champions, and they'll probably put something in place that's more different and obscure, and that's what I want to see. I want to see random obscure champions that because of interaction, maybe that they get powered up by energy, maybe because they I don't know, suppress power control because the power control is going to be so excessive, not swap abilities, but take on the abilities of like Morningstar, like basically replicating abilities. Morningstar won't be ramped up, so that's
yeah. I mean, Morningstar, it would have to be a case of just a ton of buffs for her special 2.
Yeah,
right. Like there's certain champs like, yeah, if you could get Mojo ramped up, he could be an answer, but you're not going to be able to ramp him up. You're not going to be able to ramp up the multi-fight champion. So like Corvus, he's just not going to be able to do anything. And it's also like what champions take a while, like even the ones that aren't multi-fight champions, like a Sorcerer Supreme, like are you going to have time to get to the special 3 and then the special 2? Same thing with Quake. I just think she's probably going to be too slow. Another one, Dr. Voodoo could be another one.
Yeah.
That might he might have a path to victory here. We'll have to see.
I don't know what the parameters are. I forgot to look into what the parameters of successes, because it's either a case of like, don't I say like if you the most health you have, or the champion being knocked down in the quickest time, or because that's going to be a factor. Like, will Suicide Masteries play something of a, or will it be just go into you'll have one champion with a limited mastery build similar to what they've done before?
Yeah, so it says the 4 scoring parameters are boss health remaining at the conclusion of the fight. So that seems to tell us it strongly hints that the fight will be timed. Hits taken, fight duration in minutes and seconds, and damage per second. So seems like it's all about doing a lot of damage very quickly.
Yeah.
Now that does lean towards Suicide Masteries if you're not going to get dinged for losing health other than really taking hits, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that does seem like there's a chance Suicide Masteries could be a big deal unless there's some sort of counter in there.
Yeah, I think they would have to, in order to make this fair, they'd have to restrict the extent, because you could be, if that's going to be the case, then you could go Mr. Sinister, as you would be taking whatever's on you and then projecting it out at Silver Surfer, if you were quick to build an SP1. So I would assume that Kabam would have built those fights to have something of a different mastery running, or a restrictive mastery for whatever's put in. That would be incredibly unfair for the... Well, we'll have to see. I don't want to talk too much about what we don't know.
We'll have to see. Yeah. And it could be week to week, right? Like if 1 week is a Suicide Mastery Fiesta and the other and a second week isn't, like, that's still fair, right? Like so we'll see. There's 3 chances to qualify.
Yeah, that's true. Right, we better move on to our final section. This will be the Marvel Realm section. Yeah. And it's been a busy week for Marvel Realm, with the gameplay trailer being showcased for everyone to see. There's a lot to talk about, a lot to take away, and still more that we need answers for. Because there's still loads of questions, and we'll, based on what we've seen, I think for a lot of people, they were surprised, let's say, surprised at the type of, or genre of game you can really put it into, I think that's the correct word of saying it. Surprised, Dan. Yeah, it was really interesting reading the comments, right? Yeah. Now, you and I are pretty tuned into this, but we do have an advanced level of access, and we were at New York Comic-Con last year to talk to the developers, so... we knew a lot about what to expect as far as the game being real time 3v3, because there was a certain amount of people that were upset that it was not MCOC 2, which was something that was never said, but you were seeing a lot of that in the comments. Yeah, that's so weird, because that's the expectation. Oh yes, game developer must make same game. It's not, I don't know, like, I get people... Rockstar, did anybody have a problem with Rockstar creating Red Dead Redemption when they had Grand Theft Auto? This isn't Grand Theft Auto 4. This is Grand Theft Auto Count. Well, I suppose it is the same thing. And it's a terrible analogy, Richard. But yeah, there was that. I mean, I still saw people saying it was a turn-based game after seeing the gameplay. So I don't know, like, if people are actually watching the gameplay or not at this point. But I think the big takeaway is, once we go through the individual comments and the noise, the gameplay trailer didn't receive a solid landing, did it? No. there's still a lot more that needs to be given from time to time. How the story side of things factors into this will be a key element. I don't know if people wanted to see a swipey tap game the same way that you've got characters fighting. Are we expecting like a virtual fighter thing? I don't know. There's still a type of genre of game I would always love to see, and nobody's made it yet. And I don't know if Marvel Future Revolutions will cover that. And I don't know if we would have the time to call this the Contest Realm Revolution podcast. But I always hope for something of a open world Marvel game. There has been something that's been on the PC, but nothing really that's been on the mobile. But going back to Marvel Realm, the way that it plays out is similar to other games. I know a lot of people go, "Oh, Marvel Future Fight," but for me, I see more elements of Marvel Super War than I do as a mobber than I would do to anything else. That's how I see it more as a game. There are little elements that I like that have brought across from Marvel Contest of Champions, like the way the stuns are there. There are loads of elements to it. I can't really name loads off the top of my head.
I mean, the art is at that really high level that we expect from Kabam. So that's cool. What's interesting for me was that first trailer is like a minute and a half, and it's just kind of a blur. But then when you pause it, it actually performs a lot better if you go frame by frame and you start looking at those levels. Like each looks like each house has a couple of battle zones, and there's some really cool details in there, particularly on the on your house of Vishante levels. So like the art seems really cool. There's a lot of customization. We only got to really see the Spider Guild customization, so I'd like to see more, but that part's definitely cool. So I'm excited about that, and I'm excited about the story. It's really about, is the gameplay gonna feel very chaotic and like a crapshoot, or is it actually skill-based like MCOC, like where you feel like you can slow the game down and be in control of it and have control over your own destiny?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure of the fundamentals, and that need to be explained. There's a bit more of an explanation on the website. By the way, there's another video on Rich's Realm coming up, I think, tomorrow.
I did watch your video today. You have another one coming out too?
I have another one coming out tomorrow, which deep dives some of the further information on the website. So if you want to save yourself watching the bother of watching the video, then there's information on the website. So it goes over the fundamentals of how things like traps play out, and just further information that wasn't in the trailer. I don't know if there was why there wasn't so much of a big push for it. So if you're watching on YouTube, or listening on YouTube, then I will throw up, if I can find the website, the information. I'll read it out. I mean, Dan, have you got Marvel Realm up?
Yeah, I'm looking at the page you're talking about right now.
Sweet. I'm just about to throw it on screen for those watching on. Yeah, so go to, for anybody listening as opposed to watching, go to marvelrealmofchampions.com, or just search Marvel Realm. Click on the first look news post and then scroll down, and especially right towards the bottom where it talks about the real-time multiplayer and team up and defend and triumph. Those two sections give off some further information which wasn't in the trailer, but I think is important to say. This is the ultimate challenge. Team up with your friends to face off against summoners from across the globe in fast action PvP, packed with real-time PvP action. Coordinate with your teammates to knock out your foes in the arena. Capture the control points in the center of the map and use the limited power-up you gain to do heavy damage to the enemy's Baron. So that kind of big MODOK thing that you saw. First to destroy...
Yeah, so the MODOK thing is actually the Baron of the house. So the MODOK thing in the video was actually Scar. Yeah. And they were fighting as the Gamma Horde, I guess, in that case. Yeah. So it sounds like you have to like defend your Baron or take down the opponent's Baron.
Yeah, so that's similar to a lot of games like I want to say it's like League of Legends, more like, again, more like Marvel Super War. First team to destroy the enemy band wins. Sounds simple. Using unique team compositions, gear, and various hazards placed around the map is your key to securing victory over your opponents. I think that's key information, especially as we see those like spikes on the floor in the trailer. So I guess you will get to either click to utilize them, or they'll randomly pop up, or you choose to trap in enemies and have to, like, if you trap somebody, then it means that it will be a, I don't know, 3-on-2 fight because one's suppressed or stunned or something. I even read something about like the way that gear functions, and it says there like using unique team compositions, gear. So the team compositions will be like, okay, well, if you have, if you are, would you do like 2 of the same, 2 from the Temple of Ashanti, or do you do an Asgardian Republic and a team of Temple of Ashanti characters with something else? Is it going to mean that you'll have an upper hand based on going up against 2 Pyramid X and a Spider Guild, for example? The same thing with equipping certain gear, and the way that plays out to being giving you an advantage over the enemy based on interaction, which can be difficult if you're saying that you're going into it blind against your opponent, and they have either a better gearing system, a better team pair up, and you're unprepared for it, then it can mean for a losing battle, so to speak. So that still needs to be found out.
So much that I think we still want to learn, because we didn't see the controls in the trailer, and I think that's something that that's really where my concern is, right? Like, because MCOC is that lightning in a bottle game, right? Like, where the problem with a game on your phone is you have to touch and therefore block the same the same screen you're watching as you play the game, right? And MCOC found that magic formula where you can touch the screen and it's super intuitive, and you've just got a couple actions, but you can learn very quickly, but it takes a lifetime to master, and they're able to incorporate new variations of the same old thing to keep it fresh, so that you always feel like, even if you're an end gamer or an expert, there's something new to learn, right? There's a new puzzle to solve. But it's very easy to get hooked into.
Yes.
Because you're not frustrated at the beginning. Like, when I look at Realm of Champions, my first worry is like, oh man, I just hope I can get my champion to walk in the right direction. Never mind, kick some butt. Yeah. So like that's my big concern with this type of a map and controlling it on a phone is, am I going to be able to see everything? Because that's another thing with MCOC, right? It's just 2 characters. They're big. Like it just works. Yeah. Like they just figured out how to make it work in a really, really engaging way.
Yeah, because it was weird for me as well, the idea that, okay, well, there's no control movements. The way that other games play out similar is that you would have something of a button press from, like, okay, well, traps, there'll be a trap button, there'll be the directional movement, there may be I saw like Hulk pretty much just, or was it Hulk or Hulk character or Scar or whatever, it wasn't Scar, what was it saying here, something about like Hulk having some sort of type of gear. That's it. Use Hulk's gauntlets to smash opponents. Like, I saw him like leap from like one place to another. Like, is there a jump function within it? There's so many elements of questions, camera angles, switching stuff. Like, is it fixed? Is it movable? Can you rotate around to see where you're going? Because if you go over one side, then you're like, right, so if I click backwards, am I able to rotate around to see what's going on? Because you might be completely oblivious to what's behind you.
Yeah, and something camera angle is huge in this game, and my concern is, like, how's it going to play on my phone? Do I maybe want to play this game on iPad? Is that going to be a better experience? So, at the same time, yes, those are legit concerns. I do want to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're going to come out with a really great game. They've certainly spent a lot of time and you would assume a lot of money developing it. I like the customization. I like the map. I like the story. Like, I'm kind of with you. I do wish there was more of an open world element to it, because I feel like they've got the narrative to create something that's really cool, and I would love to just start walking around this map and see, like, if you read into the different houses, right? Like, they've got all this story there about, like, what's going on in the Pyramid X and the control different factions of the Horsemen and the Gamma Horde and what all these territories are. Like, I want to go walk around that map.
Yeah, I would assume, and it's just me assuming that would be how it would play out. But my concern is, as the PvE is shown, as it says on the website, it says of ever more terrifying waves of adaptoids in its thrilling PvE combat. But that's the problem with the PvE combat. It looks like it's all of the same. You're not going from, say, point 1 to like checkpoint 1, checkpoint 2 as you explore through the maps of this newly created universe. That for me would be a disappointment if it's not looked into more. But yeah, I can't say that I'm gonna not play the game. I will give it the benefit of the doubt to see what it's like, and then see how it goes. If it's going well, it's going well. If it's not going well, it's not going well. That's, I think, how a lot of people should view this, rather than going from the gameplay. Look, it's bad, but I do sympathise for people that would have been kept. I wouldn't say, well, yes, been kept in the dark of what genre this type of game would fit into, and I wouldn't say hype to a degree. It's only if you were referring to hype, it's only really being hyped in the Marvel Contest of Champions community, or the one within the community that were interested in it. New York Comic Con hype, I don't know. It depends on the numbers that decided to sign up for it. There was a lot of interest at New York Comic Con, but the problem is with New York Comic Con, it wasn't excessively. We didn't excessively know the extent of how the gameplay would play out. So I don't know. It's going to be all about. I don't know. I'm assuming December's when this game's going to be out. If I was to assume anything.
Yeah, I agree, and I think what we're seeing right now is this is a game that's going to be searching for its audience.
Yeah,
its initial audience, if you will, just is people who are already playing Marvel Contest of Champions. Those are the easiest people for Kabam to reach, right? Because we're already tuned in. We've got a couple champions from Realm that are already in our game, so we've got a passing awareness at least about stuff that Realm exists, right? But there's a lot of people that they're either super invested in MCOC, they can't have time for a second game, they like the 1 versus 1 element. Yeah. They like the Mortal Kombat-ish element of MCOC combat. They're not looking for a brawler or a MOBA or whatever you're gonna call Realm. So I think it's just a game that if it's going to succeed, it's going to have some crossover with MCOC, but it feels like it needs to find its own audience.
Yeah, that's true. It's difficult as well to kind of find to create a new type of mobile game, and specifically a Marvel mobile game. Like, I always had this hope that they would create, and by the way, I'm still invested in playing Marvel Realm. I think, Dan, you're the same. We're both going to take it up, and we called this the Contest Realm podcast. It still works out both ways. If it's a flop, we can just stick with the one game. But I think we're quite invested with it, and it's nice as well to kind of see what Kabam can create. If they create a game that's bad, they create a game that's bad. It's just a case of, like, it's risk It's risk. The same thing with putting out content. You know, some people are going to like it, some people are going to hate it. But I'd love to have seen down the line something like a Marvel version of Pokemon Go, which they've done with Jurassic Park, Jurassic franchise. Harry Potter, they've done something similar, something that gets you out of the house. Well, obviously it's very difficult now with COVID, but still people are getting out of the house to kind of go and do things, which I think is great. So yeah, I mean, I'm up for it, I'm interested, but we need more info.
Yeah, I think we need a lot more info, but they know that.
Yeah,
so they're starting the process. It's very interesting to talk about the marketing of these games, right? Because marketing is one of those things, like everyone's always got an opinion about, like, how do you market the game or how do you monetize the game? Like there's still a lot of people that say Marvel Contest of Champions is not being monetized correctly, or the deals are bad and this and that. And then you look at how much money they've made, and it's like, have they really screwed up? You know, like you have to kind of take that. It's like we don't know from the outside, like, what their marketing roadmap is, what their monetization plan is. But I don't know. I kind of have to give them the benefit of the doubt that they know how to do those things based on what I've seen with Marvel Contest of Champions. People may not always agree with their decisions, but they're still standing 5.5 years in with a long runway in sight with MCOC, at least.
That's true. Right, I think on that note, we have covered all of our topics for today. Is there anything that you wanted to add, Dan, that maybe we haven't covered?
No, it just looks like a big week ahead, right? Summoner Showdown Week 1, kickoff of Alliance War Season 20. I know we're both very excited for that, Rich.
Yeah, I've decided to commit myself. Like, I was thinking to myself, do I want to be in Alliance for another month? But it works for me last month, so I'm here for Season 20.
All right.
So
other than that, looks like week 4 of the boss rushes. So still more new content coming our way.
Yeah, lots of videos to be making, and we'll see you all next week for the podcast. Thank you all for listening on. You can find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, and iTunes podcasts. All links are in bios for Dan for the podcast and as well myself. And we'll see you all next week for episode 30. Bye-bye, everyone.